Round 5 of the Stanek Rally Championship saw competitors head north for the Stanek Great North Rally. Over the last couple of years, the event has been plagued by rain, but this time around there were clear skies over Northern Province as competitors and service crews paid attention to detail before the start in Petersburg. At the halfway mark of the season, factory VW Motorsport crew Jan Havoc and Doug Judd held a 14-point lead over Castrol Toyota Works crew Serge Damso and Guy Hodgson, who desperately needed a win. For the VW team, consolidation was the name of the game.
Our strategy for this event would be to try and extend our points lead, and that'll obviously make things a little bit easier further in the season. As far as this event is concerned, I see it's very hot, so I think we're quite glad that we're #1 on the road, just in case there might be a small dust problem. This event is tricky. It can change overnight to rainy conditions again, so we'll play it by ear as it comes, and we're quite positive for a good result.
Being drawn #1 on the road gave Havoc and Judd an early psychological boost over the rest of the challengers, with the VW Motorsport Golf the first car to be flagged away at the start. Well, they took part of the start ramp away with them there, and they were followed by championship challengers Serge Damso and Guy Hodgson in the Castrol Toyota Conquest, and then the Sasol Motorcraft Ford Escort of Paolo Piazzamuso and Richard Leek. The opening shots on the Stanek Great North Rally were to be fired in 2 short special stages in Petersburg. Crews then headed for Mahubaskloof and Zanin for the rest of the Day 1 activities, which consisted of 6 more special stages. When matters got underway, the sun was beating down with a temperature in the low 30s. Despite the heat, the pace up front was expected to be unrelenting, with Havoc and Judd soon hard at work.
200 crossroads right. 100 crossroads right. 90 right, ignore the hairpin. 90 right. Then straight on, hairpin right, turn off hairpin right, round the arrow, round the arrow.
For Castrol Toyota pair, Damso and Hodgson, an overdue win was a championship necessity.
A good event and bad event, but one thing I must say, the weather's going to be good, so it could be a very interesting rally. I think, we haven't been rallying here for quite a while. It hasn't been wet. Every time it's been wet, and the roads are good, so I'm looking forward to it.
Well, even the top crews are not averse to a little shortcut here and there, with Damso and Hodgson winning the first stage by 2 seconds from Havoc and Judd. Next up were Paolo Piazzamuso and veteran Richard Leek with the Sasol Motorcraft Ford Escort, now fitted with a new differential, which the team hoped would see them close the gap on the 2 factory cars in the Premier Class A8. After a disappointing season, Piazzamuso and Leek had their sights set on a podium finish. The factory VW and Toyota entries have dominated Class A8, and throughout the season, Piazzamuso and Leek have invariably found themselves locked in battle with KwaZulu-Natal pair, Etienne Lawrence and Robert Paisley, in the Team Total Toyota Conquest. The 2 crews posted identical times on the opening stage, and there was a solid start from Class A7 leaders Chart van der Walt and Sidney Harding in the Reeks towing VW Golf, with the pair strong favourites for another class win. Also favoured for a class win were reigning Class A6 champions Kurgan Fecken and Dave Lukowitz, with the Pretoria pair out in the Dunair Toyota Corolla. Having only their 2nd national outing in the Toyota Corolla, the talented Fecken and Lukowitz started the event holding down top 5 positions in both the drivers and co-drivers championships, and they were looking to consolidate. For Group N favourites Hannes Krobler and Nick Haddon, there were tactical choices to be made.
We can't go too slow. We need to stay in front of the Group N guys. The problem is you say you're not going to chase the other guys, the modified guys, but once the flag drops, the things change, and then you're like a horse, But we're going to try and keep in front of the Group N guys, try and get the most possible points on this event so that we can come nearer to the leaders in Group N and try and win the championship.
En route to Zanin, crews took a little detour for a long 25-kilometre stage in the Mahubaskloof forests. After the opening 2 special stages, VW Golf factory crew Havoc and Judd led Damso and Hodgson by just 1 second, with the expected battle between the top 2 crews in South Africa already in full swing. These are the sort of special stages in which the top crews revel, and after 2 tight special stages, Havoc and Judd relished the opportunity to let the VW Golf 4 off its leash.
200 straight on.
Special Stage 3 saw Castrol Toyota pair Damso and Hodgson drop 8 seconds on Havoc and Judd and were now 9 seconds in arrears. The big losers on Special Stage 3 were Sasol Ford Escort pair Paolo Piazzamuso and Richard Leake. Piazzamuso and Leake started the special stage just 2 seconds down on Etienne Lawrence and Robert Paisley, but then disaster struck when they hit a rock and picked up a puncture. The crew then took a gamble by deciding to continue rather than change the wheel. The Sasol Ford Escort later emerged from the special stage on 3 wheels and dropped nearly 4 minutes on the leaders and more than 3 minutes on Lawrence and Paisley in the Team Total Toyota Conquest, who took a tight grip on 3rd place. The beauty and tranquil surroundings of the Mahubaskloof Dam provided crews with a little welcome respite. It's technical crew who do all the work at service points, but when Piazzamuso and Leake arrived on the scene, they were left to mull over the wisdom of electing to soldier on in Special Stage 3 rather than change the wheel.
Unfortunately, there was a rock left in the line from one of the other cars, and we hit that, subsequently punctured the tyre. We threw a gamble whether to stop and change it or continue. If we stopped and changed it, it would have been about 4.5 minutes, so we decided to continue, but the last 4 kilometers was just disastrous. We lost most of our time there as the tyre came off the rim, so we dropped about 3.5 minutes. So, yeah, I don't know if it was a good gamble or not.
Special Stage 4 in the Zanin area brought about a sudden change at the top of the leaderboard. A brief sojourn down the wrong route by Jan Havoc and Doug Judd saw the pair lose 43 seconds to Serge Damso and Guy Hodgson. For the Castrol Toyota crew, a 9-second deficit had turned into a 32-second lead. After a succession of Class A7 wins, reigning champions Chart van der Walt and Cindy Harding were under a little pressure where the class standings were concerned. The Reeks towing VW Golf pair had dropped time to Tony Ball and Marty Olivier in the Bulwer Park VW Golf and had yet to settle into any sort of rhythm. Van der Walt and Harding had also dropped time to Jürgen Fecken and Dave Lukowitz, who'd taken the early lead in Class A6. Behind them, Ball and Olivier were going like a train in a reversal of a pattern this season that has seen the KwaZulu-Natal crew mount some stirring late charges. Kali van der Merwe and Andre Vermeulen were also going well in the Toyota Conquest and were running second to Fecken and Lukowitz in Class A6. The ex-factory Daewoo Lanos in the hands of Fernando Rueda and Jill Tarleton was working its way through the field. Rueda and Tarleton were on the fringes of the top 10, but little lapses like this were not helping their cause. There was also a little hiccup for Wiley Harrington and Thilo van Vestenhagen in a Nissan Sentra running in Class A7. In sweltering conditions, the Stanek Great North Rally was providing for plenty of action, and at the service point at the end of Stage 4, Damso was in philosophical mood.
I think Havoc made a bit of a mistake there on that stage. You know, at this speed, anybody can make a mistake, so it looks like we're 52 seconds ahead now, so we'll just have to see if we can keep it there or open it a bit more.
After their early trials and tribulations, Paolo Piazzamuso and Richard Leake were forced to get a move on in the Sasol Motorcraft Ford Escort. They dropped out of the top 10 and faced a tough haul over the rest of the event. A hiccup on Stage 4 saw Hannes Grobler and Nick Hatton under pressure in the Group N category and in Class N3, but Special Stage 5 saw the end of the road for Jean-Pierre Damso and a couple of other fancied competitors. Damso broke a lower control arm. A6 leaders Jürgen Fecken and Dave Lukowitz had a flat tyre, and Tony Ball and Marty Olivier in Class A7 broke a side shaft. Team Total Nissan Sentra pair Cliff Blackman and Johan Klaassen safely negotiated Special Stage 5 with their immediate target, Group N and Class N3 leaders Hannes Grobler and Nick Hatton. Grobler, Blackman and the Team Total Toyota Corolla pair of Dean Saunders and Graham Hooper were now closely bunched in the fight for Group N honours, with Saunders and Hooper also leading Class N2. Behind them, a string of Class A6 cars had moved up the pecking order. At the front of the bunch were Skulk Berger and Martin Buerter in the Toyota Corolla, with Craig Trott and Brian Duncan going along steadily in a Team Total Toyota Conquest. Also going along without any real drama were KwaZulu-Natal pair Chris de Wit and Alec Harris, who were having a good dice with the Trott-Duncan car. And for those with long memories, a blast from the past with Johan and Felicity Prinz in the thick of the Class S20 battle in a Datsun Triple S that was sounding as crisp as it did a couple of decades ago. Now, a Nissan of more recent vintage with Fissa du Plessis and Lisa Joubert out in the Mr. Nissan Sentra. They were losing ground to the front runners, Hrobler and Blackburn in Class N3, but had not picked up any problems. Looking good at this stage at the front of Class S20 were Top Car publisher Doug Kemsley and Steve Hrobler in the Titan Top Car BMW. Class S20 does not count towards the Stanek Rally Championship, but Kemsley and Hrobler were creeping closer and closer to the top 10 overall. About to become another Special Stage 5 casualty were Class N1 frontrunners Alan Worms and Brendan Noonan in the Team Total Opel Corsa, going past the stricken Opel Cadet of Skalkberger Jr. and Greg Godrich. Worms and Noonan later lost the wheel on the stage, and this put championship leaders Rodney Fasaki and Caroline Simmer firmly in control of Class N1 in the Team Total Toyota Taz. Up at the service point, Class A6 leaders Hergen Feckert and Dave Lukowitz, once they'd heard of the demise of Jean-Pierre Damseau, decided to withdraw their ailing Dunare Toyota Corolla.
We were going pretty well. We were lying third overall, just ahead of Etienne Lorenz. And then in this stage, 8Ks into the stage, we got a flat. And the flat took out our brakes at the front as well. We stopped, changed the wheel. And then as we came out of the stage, the car started overheating and we can't find the problem. There's no, the water is leaking somewhere. So I think that's our rally.
Group N championship leaders Saunders and Hooper were also reassessing tactics.
Well, we're just going to look at where we are at the end of tonight. And then if we're close, we're in with a chance, we're going to go for it. I mean, if we're not, we're just going to hang back because we can't afford to throw away the rally either. With the lead in the championship. We don't need to win the class to win the championship.
After a regroup in Zanin, it was back to work for crews with two night special stages, one of them on dirt and the other an all-tar spectator stage in the center of Zanin.
200. Straight on, slide right into 90 left. Keep right into left. And then T right 100.
The gravel stage provided VW Motorsport pair Jan Habak and Douglas Judd with the opportunity of pulling back some time on rally leaders Serge Damseau and Guy Hodgson. Being first on the road was a major advantage for Habak and Judd, and with just a problem, Damseau and Hodgson dropped 14 seconds to see their lead trimmed to 46 seconds. Behind the factory Castrol Toyota crew, the Team Total Toyota Conquest in the hands of Etienne Lawrence and Robert Paisley was in a safe third place. Lawrence and Paisley were around 3 minutes adrift of the leading pair, but were not under any kind of attack from behind. Paolo Piazzamuso and Richard Leake were still working their way back towards the top 10 in the Sasol Ford Escort. Piazzamuso and Leake were 58 seconds slower through the stage than Habak and Judd, an indication of the advantage the VW crew held by being first on the road. A wrong slot did Fernando Rueda and Jill Tarleton no good in the Daewoo Lanos, and they dropped 70 seconds to slip down the leaderboard. The Short Zanin town stage drew a huge and appreciative crowd, and with just no problem here, Habak and Judd and rally leaders Damseau and Hodgson posted identical times. The demise of both the Barry Hrobler, Mike Burrows and Tony Ball, Marty Olivier combinations left Chart van der Velde and Cindy Harding firmly in control of Class A7 in the Reeks towing VW Golf. Hannes Hrobler and Nick Haddon were back in front in the Group N category, and in Class N3, Kali van der Merwe and Andre Vermeulen now led Class A6 in the Toyota Conquest. Group N championship leaders Dean Saunders and Graham Hooper had a tight grip on Class N2, and at the end of the day were 8th overall. At the overnight halt, Castrol Toyota crew Damseau and Hodgson had a comfortable 46-second lead over Habak and Judd. Lawrence and Paisley were a solid third, and 3 Group N crews had worked their way into the top 10. Day 2 of the Stanek Great North Rally, and searing heat had given way to leaden skies, occasional drizzle and a sharp drop in temperature. Ahead of crews lay a series of special stages in the Zanin area before the trek back to Petersburg via Makubuskloof. Trailing VW Motorsport crew Jan Habak and Doug Judd by 14 points in the championship, Serge Damseau and Guy Hodgson desperately needed to win. For the Castrol Toyota pair, a 46-second advantage was a nice way to start the day's proceedings.
Well, the lead of 46 seconds doesn't mean, you know, it's a big gap, but we're going to try and keep it there and go as hard as we can today.
Matters also quickly took a turn for the better for the factory Castrol Toyota team. The first special stage of the day was a combination tar-gravel affair in the vicinity of the Zanin vehicle test station, and Damso and Hodgson picked up another 5 seconds on Havoc and Judd to move into a 51-second lead. Etienne Lawrence and Robert Paisley in the team Total Toyota Conquest needed only a trouble-free day to be reasonably assured of third place, while Chart van der Velde and Cindy Harding were firmly in control of Class A7. The impressive Kali van der Merwe and Andre Vermeulen in the Toyota Conquest were in much the same position in Class A6, while Hannes Grobler and Nick Hadden in the Total Bridgestone Nissan Sentra started the day with a 40-second advantage over Dean Saunders and Graham Hooper in the Group N category. Skalk Berger and Martin Borger in the Bridgestone Quality Tires Toyota Corolla started the day 7th overall, with the pair enjoying a fair degree of success in the FIA African Continent Rally Championship this season. Class N2 leaders Dean Saunders and Graham Hooper were looking to consolidate their lead in the overall Group N Championship, while Team Total Nissan Sentra pair Cliff Blackman and Johan Klaassen had a little catching up to do. Playing the catch-up game was also the lot of Paolo Piazzamuso and Richard Leake in the Sasol Ford Escort, and there were ominous early signs that all was not well with the Class S20 leaders, Doug Kemsley and Steve Krobelaar in the Titan Top Car BMW. There were early morning blues too for KwaZulu-Natal crew Chris de Witt and Alec Harris, who managed to get themselves into a terrible tangle. Special stage 10, and with a 51-second lead, everything looked rosy for Serge Damso and Guy Hodgson in the Castrol Toyota Conquest. But things can change in a split second in rallying, and at an innocuous-looking low-speed hairpin, drama struck.
Move the back. Move the back this way, Dan.
The Castrol Toyota was beached, and when Damso and Hodgson finally got going again, they'd lost 3 minutes. From a 51-second deficit, Jan Havoc and Douglas Judd suddenly found themselves more than 2 minutes in the lead, with a 4th successive Stanek Rally Championship win theirs for the taking. But there were further problems for Damso and Hodgson, with Etienne Lawrence and Robert Paisley in the team Total Toyota Conquest now also closing to within seconds of the factory team. Chart van der Velde and Cindy Harding were still in a solid 4th place in the Reeks Towing VW Golf, while Paolo Piazzamuso and Richard Leake were starting to rapidly make up ground in the Sasol Motorcraft Ford Escort. Up at the service point after special stage 10, a disappointed Damso recounted an episode that could well have cost the Castrol Toyota crew the Stanek Rally Championship.
Fortunately, it was a reverse fork, quite a sharp reverse fork, and as I flicked the car around and accelerated, the one wheel fell. It was like a 2 heights road, and it just pulled itself and it got stuck between the sun guards. So the wheels were up in the air, so we had to get, push the back off.
T for Africa, some picturesque Northern Province scenery, and special stage 12 out of a scheduled 18 stages, with Jan Havoc and Doug Judd sitting pretty. All they had to do was keep the VW Motorsport Golf on the road to tighten their grip on the championship. Also sitting pretty in Class A6 were Kali van der Merwe and Andre Vermeulen in the Toyota Conquest, who were starting to challenge for a top 5 placing. Van der Merwe and Vermeulen have been a revelation since taking over the ex-Feckin Toyota Conquest, and are now a force to be reckoned with in Class A6. With Chart van der Velde and Cindy Harding within catching distance ahead of them, and Dean Saunders and Graham Hooper a threat from the rear, Hannes Grobler and Nick Hadden had upped the pace in the Total Bridgestone Nissan Sentra. Veterans Skalk Berger and Martin Borger were going along steadily, but it was the end of the road for Dean Saunders and Graham Hooper, who a kilometre or so down the road succumbed to a gearbox problem. That moved Cliff Blackman and Johan Klaassen up a notch in the Group N standings, with Paolo Piazzamuso and Richard Leake still on a charge. The Sasol Ford Escort was carrying a little Northern Province fauna and flora. The Grobler Hatton car was also carrying the scars of battle, and the ever-cheerful Hannes was almost apologetic.
We went to start chasing Chart and the bigger guys in the front, and we sideswiped a little tree at high speed. I saw it was coming, but couldn't avoid it. But it's the first time this year, so we're basically lucky that we doing that well.
There was plenty of activity around the Sasol Ford Escort, with Paulo Piazzamuso happy with day 2's progress.
I am, but Lady Luck's still not on my side. Just as I think we're starting to do something, then we have more mechanical gremlins. We just broke 2 rear shocks, so yeah, we just carry on persevering and just hope that we can still show that we've got the metal.
Matters had also taken a turn for the worse for Class A7 leaders Chad van der Walt and Cindy Harding. They lost 3 minutes through a broken fan belt on Special Stage 13 and were now down in 8th place. Behind Class A6 leaders Kali van der Merwe and Andre Vermeulen, a terrific battle was going on between Craig Trott and Brian Duncan in the Team Total Toyota Conquest, and Chris de Witt and Alec Harris, who had shaken off their early morning woes. The 2 Class A6 entries were also under attack from Johan and Felicity Prince, who now led Class S20 in the vintage Datsun Triple S, which was going like a bomb and had moved ahead of the Mr. Nissan Sentra of Fissa du Plessis and Lisa Joubert, which was 3rd in Class N3. Down in Class N1, the consistent Mike Houghton and Brian Doherty in the Toy Toyota Taz were chasing after class leaders Richard Fasaki and Caroline Simmer in the Team Total Toyota Taz. Newcomers Scott Howden and Bayers Pretorius were having a good run in a Nissan Sentra, and although Houghton and Doherty were around 2 minutes behind Fasaki and Simmer, they'd not given up hope of catching the championship leaders.
At the moment, Fasaki's about, I think, at the moment from last night, 2 minutes ahead of us. He took 16 seconds of us on the first stage, and we've managed to pull back the last 2 stages. So we probably still about 2 minutes behind him. Still a long way to go. So we're going to be pushing hard to catch him.
The penultimate special stage back in Petersburg, and unless anything untoward happened, Castrol Toyota pair Serge Damso and Guy Hodgson were going to have to be content with their 4th second place in a row. Rally and championship leaders Jan Habak and Doug Judd were able to control matters from the front and were still around 2 minutes ahead of the factory Castrol Toyota. After a brief spell in 2nd place, Etienne Lawrence and Robert Paisley were back to 3rd in the Team Total Toyota Conquest, while Chad van der Walt and Cindy Harding were still 8th and 30 seconds behind Skalk Berger and Martin Buerta. The van der Merwe Vermeulen Toyota Conquest had not missed a beat, with the pair a solid 5th and leading Class A6. Hannes Hrobler and Nick Hatton had the Group N category and Class N3 in the bag after another impressive display, while further down the field another blast from the past was still going strong, with the Toyota Corolla of Johnny Gemmell and Errol Finnis now running 2nd to the Prince Datsun in Class S20. Rodney Fasaki and Caroline Simmer were now more than 3 minutes clear of Houghton and Doherty at the front of Class N1, with the aging Datsun of Philip Smith and Clive Smith also keeping the flag flying among the Class S20 brigade. The spate of Class A7 retirements saw Robin and David Goodman running 2nd in Class A7 to Van der Walt and Harding, while a late charge had taken Wayne and Dave Watt into 3rd place in Class N1, with the Toyota pair fighting a battle at the back of the field with the Class A7 Nissan Sentra of Ken Vestermeyer and Gerhard Sneyman. The final special stage in Petersburg, with Jan Habak and Doug Judd putting the final touches to their 4th win of the season. Chad van der Walt and Cindy Harding also put the finishing touches to a Class A7 win, with Kali van der Merwe and Andre Vermeulen a fine 5th overall and convincing Class A6 winners. Hannes Hrobler and Nick Hatton wrapped up Class N3 and the Group N category and came in 6th overall, ahead of Skalk Berger and Martin Buerta in the Bridgestone Quality Tires Toyota Corolla. KwaZulu-Natal crew Cliff Blackman and Johan Klaassen were a solid 9th overall in the Team Total Nissan Sentra, while Paulo Piazzamuso and Richard Leek, despite a last stage wobbly, capped a fine Day 2 fight back to finish 4th overall. Rodney Fasaki and Caroline Simmer finished with a flourish in the Team Total Toyota Taz to take Class N1 honours, with no finishers in Class N2. A win for Jan Habak and Doug Judd by 2 seconds short of 2 minutes, and an impressive fight back from Paulo Piazzamuso and Leek. An impressive Class A6 win too for Van der Merwe and Vermeulen, with Krobler and Hatton moving to the top of the Group N Championship. There was a high rate of attrition on the Stanek Great North Rally with no Class N2 finishers, with Versaki and Simmer cementing their hold on the Class N1 Championship. With an impressive 4 wins in a row, Habak and Judd are getting used to this particular vintage.
Yeah, this one, I must be honest, after yesterday, I wasn't so sure whether we would be here today. We really had a torrid time with all sorts of niggly problems. Not one big problem, but just an accumulation of a lot of small ones. And the car wasn't working all that well. But anyway, so Serge obviously made our job a bit easier today. And, you know, 4 wins in a row is quite good for the car, I think. And I think the team feels happy and we're quite satisfied with the result today.
Anna Krobler and Nick Hadden are also developing a taste for the champagne and celebrated moving to the top of the Group N Championship.
The rally was very tough. It was, I must say, it was a very nice rally. I mean, yesterday we were like in the desert with the heat, and today it was cold again. But we enjoyed it, and I think we finished about 6th overall, and I think we took the lead now in the Group N Championship, probably just 1 point ahead of Cliffy Blackman and them.
A 21-point lead now for VW Motorsport factory crew Jan Habak and Douglas Judd at the top of the Stanek Rally Championship with just 3 rounds remaining this season. And don't forget our website at www.stanekrally.co.za.